Well, another championship Sunday is on the horizon, and the Packers are not there once again. But at least the Bears aren't either. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Podcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. There's only 3 games left, man. What am I going to do without football? Grossi, and today we are going to be predicting all 2 games on this Sunday, the AFC and NFC Championship. Last week, I did the same exact thing as I did in the wild card round, going in even 500. I had a 2-2 record last week, and let's just hope I don't go 1-1 this week. And listen, folks, it has been a wild season, and thankfully the playoffs, I think they have lived up to the hype. Obviously, we have the insanity of the wild card round. Those are some excellent competitive games. And while at times the divisional round was, the 49ers and Seahawks, I think overall we've gotten some pretty damn good games in this postseason. And so as we finish things off and we head to the Super Bowl, I just wanted to say thank you again for tuning in for yet another season, because it's been a crazy one. Speaking of crazy things, we are officially 11,000 subscribers away from 1 million. It looks more and more likely that we are going to hit it next week. So as always, this show has no sponsors whatsoever. Feel free to subscribe. Appreciate the hell out of you. And then sooner rather than later, I never have to tell you to subscribe again, because good God, I hate selling this and marketing myself. I just want to get the plastic button so I can feel a sense of pride, because remember, folks, materialism, that's where it's at. God, I'm a sad man.
To be the sad man.
Starting off with the AFC Championship game, you got the New England Patriots taking on the Denver Broncos. Oh boy, the Patriots, they were able to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship game after knocking off C.J. Stroud and the Texans. And C.J. Stroud absolutely imploded in that first half.
I will initiate self-destruct sequencing.
Whoa, you're what?
I cannot be captured. I must self-destruct.
Do not self-destruct.
4 interceptions on the day. Woody Marks had a fumble, and it was just an infuriating offensive performance from the Texans. Their defense was the only thing keeping them in that football game. Ultimately, no matter how good your defense is, if you keep going 3 and out or keep on giving the ball back to the opposing offense, you're gonna get tired. And that's honestly what happened. You had an amazing catch by Booty. Drake May got sacked 5 times. We mentioned this yesterday, which definitely is a concern going up against the Denver Broncos pass rush. But the Patriots, holy crap, man. You have to give them a ton of credit. We talked about them in the offseason, about them potentially being a wild card team. I believed a lot in Mike Vrabel. They went out and they got offensive linemen. They went out and got wide receivers. But for them to make it back to the AFC Championship game and be 1 game away from the Super Bowl, that's really damn impressive. And they're going to be taking on the Denver Broncos, who experienced the highest of highs on Saturday, and then 10 minutes later, the lowest of lows, as Sean Payton had to give Broncos fans some painful news after that game.
Lord Aragorn, where is he?
He fell.
Those poor Uma Musume fans. But yeah, let's talk about the Broncos, because similar to the Patriots, I think you wanted to see them capitalize on some of those turnovers a little bit more. Josh Allen kept turning the ball over, and while the Broncos were able to get some field goals out of it right before half and right after half, their offense was kind of shut down in that second half until that phenomenal throw from Bo Nix to Marvin Mims for that touchdown. Ultimately, they went into overtime, and after the interception, they were able to kick the game-winning field goal. But a little bit concerning for that Broncos offense, because they really couldn't establish the run against one of the worst run defenses in the league. And now that they don't have Bo Nix, yeah, I feel like that's taking a lot of wind out of their sails. The good news for the Broncos is they still have an excellent defense, but for the Patriots, they've gone through some of the best defenses in the AFC on the way to the championship game. They were able to knock off the Chargers, and even though at times Drake May had some turnovers in that game and it was very frustrating, they were eventually able to pull away. And the same exact thing happened last week. They went up against one of the most elite defenses in the NFL with the Texans, and while you would like to see more and also less of Drake May turning the ball over, they still were able to get the job done. And now going up against this really good pass rush that the Broncos have, they have the most sacks this season. I do worry a little bit about Drake May. One, staying upright, but also not turning the ball over like he's done the past 2 weeks. That being said, my concerns for the Broncos offense outweigh whatever concerns I have for the Patriots. Christian Gonzalez was thankfully able to play against the Texans. He had a big game, and I worry that Jared Stidham back there is not going to have a ton of success. And if they don't have a run game that they can lean on, we'll see what the status of J.K. Dobbins is going to be. If he plays, then I feel at least a little bit better about it. But yeah, if the Broncos are going to win this game, it's going to come down to their defense. And the Patriots, they don't have a defense to shrug your shoulders at either. So I think that this is going to be a very competitive game for the first 2 or 3 quarters, and I could see the Patriots eventually pulling away, but I'm going to have to go with the Patriots to get the win here. I would have loved to see Bo Nix versus Drake May because I just think that would have been a better matchup, and I just feel like with his injury, yeah, it just deflates the entire championship game. The Broncos definitely have an opportunity to win this game if they're able to force a bunch of turnovers, and as I mentioned, Drake May, he's been having some the past 2 weeks, so if they're able to get pressure, which I don't think they're going to have a problem doing, and they're able to cause May to make some mistakes, I think the Broncos could potentially win this game at home. However, I think I just have to go with the more balanced attack here with the Patriots. Not only their defense is really good, but they also have a pretty damn good run game with Stevenson and Henderson, and if they're able to establish the run and Drake May is able to limit his mistakes, I think the Patriots are going to be punching their ticket to yet another Super Bowl. So because of that, I'm going to have to go with the evil empire to reign once again. And God help us all. Then you got the NFC Championship game. You got the LA Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. It's the rubber match, round 3. Split during the regular season. Of course, the Rams won their first matchup back in November, and then the Seahawks overcame a 16-point deficit in the fourth quarter to force it into overtime and ultimately won that game against the Rams. And so now it comes down to this. The Rams were involved in a battle in Chicago in which the majority of that game was 10-10. There was no points scored in the third quarter, and that was a little bit surprising. I mentioned this in Power Rankings that on paper, the Rams are a really damn good team. They're the #1 scoring offense in the NFL, and while their secondary is not the best, their pass rush has been pretty good this season, but the last 2 games, as I mentioned yesterday, they have not been great. They were able to get 2 sacks on Bryce Young, and that was going up against a depleted offensive line, and while they were going up against a better O-line in Chicago, they weren't able to bring down Caleb Williams once, and that is a little bit problematic because I think they're going to have to get after Sam Darnold to win this football game, or at least force him to make some mistakes. And on top of that, while the Rams were able to get that lead late in the game, you had some heroics from Caleb Williams to ultimately tie it and make it go into overtime. And I just got to give some credit here. The Bears couldn't escape with a win, but Caleb Williams had one of the most electrifying touchdown passes in playoff history last week. Yeah, I think the Bears are going to be a problem. But yeah, really bad play by the Rams secondary, but this is honestly what happens when you give Caleb Williams time. And ultimately, let's talk about it. The Rams were able to win that game. They were able to do this in the Panthers game because they had phenomenal throw and catch to Parkinson, and then they were able to have a really nice drive. Devontae Adams made that great sideline grab, and ultimately, the most important thing is the Rams were able to win. It just feels like they are not playing to their full potential, and that is a little concerning going up against the Seattle Seahawks because the Seahawks, good God, most of us had the Seahawks winning that game, but you'd think the 49ers would have been a little bit more competitive.
What was that?
Death.
What kind?
Instant.
There was no sound. He just died.
Yeah, terrifying. It's a terrifying thing to watch happen.
It was literally over after the opening kickoff as Shaheed was able to bring it back for a touchdown. The 49ers were held without a touchdown once again against the Seattle Seahawks. That was the second time in 3 weeks, and this was just an absolute mauling. The defense didn't allow Christian McCaffrey to do anything. The offense was moving it efficiently. Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns on the night, and ultimately they scored over 40 points against the 49ers on Saturday night. And for the Seahawks, on paper, they should probably win this football game. They have the #1 defense in terms of points allowed. Of course, they had the best performance by any team in the postseason so far. And I think what this is going to really come down to is how efficiently can they run the ball against the Rams, because the last time that they did that, they were able to be successful. You take a look back at their first matchup back in November. Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions, and ultimately they lost that game, but only by 2 points. They were still able to move the ball pretty efficiently on the ground. And even with all those mistakes, they were close to beating the Rams. Then the last time that they played, as I mentioned, that was that comeback victory. And if you recall that game on Thursday night, Sam Darnold had those 2 interceptions, but eventually was able to rally back and had a really nice finish to that game. But again, they had a strong run game that they could rely on. Now, Zach Charbonnet will not be available for this Sunday, as unfortunately he tore his ACL. And so they're really just going to have to lean on Kenneth Walker. And if you saw him this past Saturday night, that is very doable as long as he stays healthy. And so this game being played in Seattle, yeah, I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is the best version of the NFC Championship game that we could have seen. And while Seattle definitely on paper looks better, and pair that with any kind of momentum you want to talk about, you never know, because it's one of those divisional games. The Rams have had Sam Darnold's number for quite some time, and while they were able to rally back the last time that they played, of course, they won the first time. Sam Darnold had all those interceptions, and of course, last year when Darnold was on the Vikings, yeah, that didn't go so well. The difference maker here, though, is that Rams pass rush has not been as potent these last few weeks, and so if Sam Darnold's able to play a clean game and they're able to just hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker, and their defense can continue to do what their defense does, I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to win this football game. Again, I can see this coming down to the wire and being a very competitive game. If the Rams want to win this game, I think they're going to have to establish the run with Kyren Williams. And if they get a 16-point lead in the fourth quarter, just keep on running the freaking ball and burning the clock. But yeah, the Seahawks are just clicking in every phase of the game right now. Their special teams is doing well. Their defense is incredible. And their offense, yeah, I mean, they played flawless on Saturday. So if they're able to bring that same kind of play style on Sunday, I think they're going to be going to the Super Bowl. So because of that, I got to go with the Seahawks. And so if these predictions come to pass, it will be the Patriots and Seahawks in a Super Bowl rematch. Seahawks, just, don't throw it on the 1-yard line this time. But I think this would be an excellent Super Bowl. While it is a Super Bowl rematch, these two teams are completely different from the last time that they played. I think it would be an excellent final game of the season. And let's see if that's how it plays out. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You know, find me at TomGrossiComedy.com, and a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.